So, without further ado, Joey, Charlie, maybe just walk us through a little bit of what we now know from a gold card standpoint, and what this potentially now means for people as they're trying to make a good, practical immigration decision moving forward.
Yep. So the Gold Card executive order was signed last week, Friday, the 19th of September, and it has directed the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Commerce, and the Secretary of Department of Homeland Security to create this new visa program and to implement regulations and create applications and put together the administrative framework in order to adjudicate this new visa program. And the visa program is very different than what existing immigration law requires. And it's very different from EB-5 because, and we're going to get more into that, but here, this is a donation to the government to pay down debt. There is no return of the investment. And so the investment levels vary depending on who is making the donation. And if it's an individual, that investment amount is 1 million. If it is a company that is making the donation on behalf of an employee, that amount is 2 million. And there's also something that was mentioned called this platinum card, which wasn't in the executive order, but was mentioned on Twitter, which I guess is potentially how laws are created in 2025. And he is the Secretary of Commerce, Lutnick, had said that they may need to go through congressional approval for that. But the big thing here is it gets you a pathway to a green card based on your donation to the federal government. And what this executive order indicated was that by making that donation, it counts towards certain EB-1 and EB-2 criteria, whether it is a national interest or showing that you have exceptional business ability. And so it sort of rewrites the law and the eligibility requirements for EB-1 and for EB-2, or at least expands the eligibility requirements for EB-1, EB-2. That's how I read it. Now they're very clear here that just because you're eligible by making a gift, that does not mean that you are for sure going to get a green card. There are other items and grounds of inadmissibility, national security checks, prior immigration violations, concerns related to public safety, all that type of stuff that they are going to go through no matter what, just like they do for EB-5 applicants. And that's part of this process as well. But the big thing that the EO did was push these administrative agencies in the executive branch to create this new visa program. There's a number of things that we don't know about it, but I think the biggest question mark that we have, and I'm glad that we have Charlie to talk about, is that the executive order specifically references EB-1 and EB-2. And by that very fact, it limits, I think, the number of people who would be desiring to do this type of program. And so maybe, Charlie, you can key us in on that as to why EB-1 and EB-2 categories for this gold card program could hamper its actual overall impact.
Yeah, the interesting thing is if these numbers are going to be charged against the EB-1 and EB-2 categories, the question is, are the people that are applying and establishing a priority date, are they going to go to the back of any respective lines? For example, if an Indian or a Chinese applicant applies, are they going to have to wait until their priority date becomes available in either the EB-1 or EB-2 category? If so, there's really, at this point, with the final action dates applied to China and India, there's really no benefit to them. Uh, and again, one of the things that was mentioned is potentially charging these numbers against the diversity visa lottery limit. That would be the ideal thing, is to pull numbers from DV. That way it would not disadvantage those applicants who are already in line in the EB1 or EB2 categories.
So that's something that Secretary Lutnick tweeted about. That was not in the executive order, but it's possible that in these interim 90 days in which the secretaries are supposed to be creating the regulations and how they're going to execute this, that comes up as part of their decision-making process. Now, what they're supposed to do a lot of times is create these regulations. There's public notice and comment period. Maybe they change the regulations after those comments. It remains to be seen what exactly is going to happen prior to them actually being able to accept the donation or the gift. The other thing that I've been thinking about is the way that these EB1 and 2 applications are processed is you have to show that you're qualified and then you make the application. So are they going to require people to make the donation and then apply? What happens if your I-140 is denied after making the donation? Is there ability to get the money back at that point, or are you all in? There's also this national security vetting. That comes after the I-140 could be approved potentially. If that doesn't go according to plan, are you going to get your money back? So a lot of open questions that we don't have the answers to, that supposedly we will be getting in the coming months as they put this together. But there's also a lot, this uncertainty is, I think, creating, I guess, a little bit of waves and anxiety because we just don't know what to expect. We don't know what the process is going to be. We know that it is a gift to the Treasury and that you are not getting the money back. But beyond that, we don't understand the real process. You're supposed to do it online through trumpcard.gov. I have signed up. I have put in my name. Actually, it's my cousin's name as an applicant. It's Jorge Barnetto. He is ready to immigrate, and he is ready. He is signed up, and he will be getting all of the information as required when it becomes available. He hasn't gotten anything yet. So they haven't accepted applications. I don't know what the Secretary, Howard Lutnick, is talking about when he mentioned that there's already a line for the Platinum card and that there's thousands of people in line. There's no application process. How could there be a line? And so we have to there's, I think, some political messaging that's associated with this. And we just have to be aware of, what is real and what is not real. And I guess I'll pause there and see, Pete, what do you got to say? Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think with all of this, again, we're here to try to help people to make good decisions in terms of their investment, their immigration by investment. And even with this, now that we have a little bit more information, because we think about the early conversations about this gold card, there was an even higher concept, and it was higher investment amount, $5 million. And there was all these tax benefits that were going to come with it. And there was expedited processing and all these sorts of things. And then obviously, as you go through, this is clearly a something that the administration is very interested in implementing. And, as we've all noticed on our side of the industry, is that the conversation of this has gone rather quiet for a pretty extended period of time. So clearly they were gathering information, and they've now come to something that is now a little bit more focused. And there is some reality to it. And practically speaking, people could start to consider this as an option, but there are very, very key differences between this and what we talk about all the time, and what is a prime focus of our business, which is EB5. And mainly it's, you are going to be making a capital contribution as opposed to making an at-risk investment where you're able to get your funds back. And when structured right, good regional centers like Can-Am, they're able to achieve those immigration benefits consistently and predictably. What we're looking at now from the gold card is on its face, something that is a little bit more of a rapid time frame. They talk about priority processing, which is potentially available for these. But Joey, as you alluded to multiple times, this is what's still there's still to be questioned whether what point this actual capital contribution is made, because it's very clear. What's very clear from you can read that is that this is a non-refundable gift. So if you're subsequently lose your benefits, or look, any of the different complications that could come along with the gold card, such as legal there could be litigation that comes as a result of this. Who knows what the result of that would be? Who knows what that would mean for your ultimate immigration? But we're talking about a non-refundable gift that you're looking at. If this is something that is able to move forward as an executive order, would a subsequent executive order potentially be able to impact that as well? You would have to assume yes. So what effect could that have, again, on your non-refundable gift? So I mean, these are factors that you have to put into place, and clearly you have to be of the financial security to be able to make such a large investment with no expectation of return. But these are the factors that people need to take into account with, again, the limited information that we have before we get probably near the end of this 90-day implementation process that will be potentially bringing this online. But again, as we talk about helping people to make good practical decisions, what we always revert back to is that EB5 clearly is our main line of business. It is one of your huge lines of business that you guys are very successful in. It is a program that is in place, that has legislation in place, that the parameters of it are very well known. And that predictability is a good thing when making these sorts of decisions. And so having that in place is certainly still a huge, huge benefit.